Hello everyone, Jason Alea back here again. I hope you are having a wonderful Christmas and a happy holiday. Today we're going to be reviewing Elf. This is directed by Jon Favreau. This is one of his first feature films, and it stars Will Ferrell and James Caan, rest in peace. And it tells a story about an elf named Buddy, who recently discovered that he's actually a human, despite him quite obviously being taller and a lot different from any elf around him. So he sets off on a journey to New York City to find his father and is trying to form a bond with him. But he's very hesitant about that because he has a lot going on in his family and personal life, especially at his job, and he's trying not to get fired, and Buddy is in the way of that. But over the time, Buddy starts to form friendships, relationships, and gets closer with his family, and starts to find out who he really is and what he should be. And his father is trying to come to terms with the fact that he is his son, and that he should appreciate the people who are close to him and not just focus on his job. Now, I watched this film just as many times as The Polar Express, just as many times as Home Alone. It is one of those Christmas movies that is very nostalgic to me, and is my sister's favorite Christmas movie, as a matter of fact. And I've always really appreciated it. And it is one of those first films where Will Ferrell starts to let his childish inner self come out. And I think this movie is still his best version of that type of performance. Every performance later on in his career that's similar to this is just like a copy and paste and not as funny or as sharply written. Here, Will Ferrell is able to find that perfect balance of humanity childish wonder that just makes his character very likable, and you never get tired of seeing him on screen. I also really like his dynamic with James Caan here. Will Ferrell and James Caan do a really good job bantering with one another, balancing each other out with Will Ferrell's childish sticks and James Caan's just stern and straightforward look at life. And they create a very nice pair with one another in terms of acting abilities, and how these characters are very much polar opposites, where you can tell that his father is getting really tired real fast of him, and he really wants him out of his life. Zooey Deschanel also plays the love interest here in this film to Buddy, and while I don't think this movie in retrospect did a great job at making her one of the more developed characters, like, you could definitely tell where her character is going to go from the first time you see her. She's definitely still likable enough, and Zoe is giving a really good performance here, where you can tell that she's really having a good time balancing out her straightforward look at life and kind of a dour one at that, as she is someone who's more of a closet nerd. I don't know if I would say that, but you know what I'm trying to say. She keeps things most to herself. Like, she doesn't let out a lot of personality. And it's not until Buddy, when he comes into her life, that she starts to have a few more emotions pop out of her. She's starting to feel things for him, things like joy and happiness, and their relationship is cute enough. You can definitely understand why Buddy would form a liking with her, especially considering that the first time he sees her, it's a beautiful woman in a Christmas elf costume. And considering that he is from the North Pole, you could probably understand how he would appreciate and start to form some sort of attraction to her, as well as him trying to cheer up knowing that it's the holidays, and he's just so unapologetic about it, which also makes him a very likable character. I also like the segment where he starts to form a close brothership with his brother. Well, he's a stepbrother, but you can really tell that they're starting to love each other as family. They're starting to get closer to each other. And while I think that development formed a little bit too fast, The building blocks are there to where you can understand how things go on. I just feel like this movie, with the ideas it has, my biggest problem is that it didn't have enough time to develop them properly at the start. I feel like later on in the film, it was able to balance the character dynamics very well in terms of the time we spent with them. But when Will Ferrell starts to meet his family and how quickly he starts to get along with some of these characters, I feel like realistically I would have added a couple more scenes between the time. With Zoe, it's a little bit better, but with the brother character, I feel like there could have been a little bit more time spent with these two characters bickering with one another at first, and then we get to the scene where they start to get along and we get to that epic snowball fight, which is still very fun and very well edited, just so to say. The sense of humor this movie has is really fun. I really like Will Ferrell's comedic nature and how it bounces off with James Caan's stern nature. The rest of the family also have some really good heartwarming moments. But this is during a time when the Marvel humor was not a staple in movies, where movies everywhere are trying to have humor like Marvel. This is more grounded. This is more situation humor, like when Buddy comes into one of his father's meetings and he meets Peter Dinklage, who is a famous author in the movie. Then they start to fight each other because he thinks he's an elf. That is very funny. But I love how Jon Favreau was still able to bounce out a lot of dramatic moments. As you can definitely tell, this is still a very tense situation. How it happened is very funny, but the situation is still taken very seriously by Buddy's father, and it is definitely his breaking point and one of my favorite performances in this movie. Which then leads us to the final act, where Buddy meets with Santa Claus once again, and this is at the point where everything starts to fall for him. He doesn't feel appreciated enough, especially considering the fact that he's just come here just to reunite with his father, and it all went wrong. And you could tell that he understands that completely now, that his father did not want him. At least he thinks. Definitely later on, you could tell that James Caan's character regrets everything that he said, and it's definitely showing after the fact whenever he's trying to get this meeting going on the 24th Christmas Eve, but he's not willing to go through with it and goes with his son to try and find Buddy. I think that character development worked very well. There was enough time between these two characters to start to feel regrets about their past decisions and reflect on what they've done throughout the film. And when they eventually meet each other for that eventual forgiveness, it hits home very well. I think in terms of character progression and character development, it's these two characters that this movie does a really good job at for the most part. Better than any of the other characters. Not that it did a horrible job, but I feel like with these two characters, Buddy and his father, I think the movie did a good job at developing their relationship from when they first met to this point in the film at the end. And when they try to fix Santa's sleigh, try to save Christmas, it all worked out very well. The Christmas spirit is being saved as people are starting to have a little bit more hope, as it is revealed that Santa did listen to many of these kids' Christmas lists, and they are able to recognize that. I also love how they're able to use children in this scene, as they are the ones that have the most belief at this point, especially considering their ages and what they enjoy. It seems like this is the point in life where a lot more adults are starting to lose that belief and faith in Christmas, but still the pure, innocent children that's still keeping the holidays strong, and it's Buddy with that childish energy, the one adult with that childish energy that's able to have a good impact on many of these people's lives. Be able to have that Christmas spirit once again. So throughout the ending, when we see Zooey Deschanel's character start forming Christmas caroling outside in Central Park, everyone goes along with her, and we cut to moments and places and characters from the rest of the films singing along as they watch it on TV. That part was actually pretty well executed. I really like that. And how Santa was revealed at the end, I really like, because no one's expecting Santa. They're just having a good time singing Christmas carols, and they're just giving that holiday spirit. And then Santa shows up, and everyone is just in awe. The way the ending was executed was just perfect, and wrapped the entire movie in a nice little bow. Overall, while there are some problems with Elf, and I feel like with characterization, it could have had a better job, could have done a better job having Buddy interact with these characters for a little bit longer, I still think that Elf is a really good Christmas movie. It's very funny, it's heartwarming, it has good direction, good set designs. Especially I love the way the North Pole is like those old stop motion cartoons, especially having some characters from those old cartoons. It is just a really fun aesthetic comparison to the realistic New York segment, to where we see actual buildings, actual people walk around. And I love how these two areas of the film are very distinguishable. Overall, I still say that Elf is a really fun Christmas movie. I definitely recommend it this time. It actually aged pretty well for the most part, and I can definitely see people who are new today to see this film to still find a lot to enjoy about this. And it's definitely one of Will Ferrell's better performances in his entire career. I'm going to give Elf an A-. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment. I'll see you guys next time, and have a Merry Christmas.